So, hey everyone, what's up? This is a video just on college. This is my beautiful friend Jess. She is a film student at the regrettable Scottsdale Community College. And I mean regrettable because it's not in the Mesa. Anyway, so we're going to start off with a few questions. What year did you graduate?
2014?
Oh yeah, same as me.
Right?
From that horrible school. It was horrible. Currently, what is your major?
Screenwriting. I'm majoring in film overall, but screenwriting in particular.
What kind of writing do you do for that?
Well, because it is a writing major, I do a lot of prepping for writing movies and also the actual writing of the storyline for movies. So it's 90 pages for a TV show, 120 plus for a movie. So a lot of writing, actually. A lot.
Okay. And do you write other kinds of papers for your major?
Yeah. Cinema breakdown papers on my major in particular. So like the history of film papers, all kinds of papers for it, really.
That sounds painful.
It is.
Like you die inside slowly.
It's a lot of work.
So what kind of papers do you write outside of that kind of major? Because I'm a special education major, so I'll be doing a lot of technical papers and evaluations for parents and districts.
So like English?
Like what kind
English
of other
papers?
stuff? Well, English is used in everything.
Yeah, but most of my classes are film, and then I have an English class, but I don't know, I write probably a paper every 2 weeks for my English class. So, just argumentative essays, persuasive essays, that kind of stuff. And to be honest, in high school, we talk a lot and write a lot of persuasive argument essays.
5 paragraphs too.
I think I have written one of those in the year and a half I have been in college. Just one.
Oh wow. Less than me.
Yeah, most of my papers are either informative, which is really hard to do with what high school prepares you for, because in an informative essay, a true one that you write in college, you do not get to have your opinion in it in any way, shape, or form. You present the information as a bland from neither side. And if you take a point on it, or you have an opinion, or you put anything in it that isn't sourced, you will get a bad grade. Because you can't have one sentence in an informative paper that you don't have a source for. So you can't say anything that you can't prove with a paper you got, or a book, or research. So, which is really hard to do with what they prepare you for in high school.
So you'd say formatting counts? So like what kind of formatting do you use? Do you use MLA?
MLA. Every time.
Oh my God.
3 of my professors, including most of my cinema professors, unless it's a screenwriting class and I use the screenwriting format, if I don't use MLA, most of the professors won't even accept the paper. They'll either delete it or throw it in the trash can.
Yeah. And I've actually had a teacher tear paper in front of me just to make a point, because I made the mistake more than once. She's right, I told you once, and you're not coming in for help, so here you go.
At least they tell you. I had one professor that literally just deleted it, and then 2 weeks later, when everybody else got their grade and I got a 0, I was like, what happened? And he said, well, you turned it in and it wasn't MLA, so you needed to turn it in again, and because you didn't realize it wasn't MLA, you are now past the late time, so now you just get a 0. Even though I wrote the paper. And turned it in 2 days early.
Your teacher was an ass. My teacher was more forgiving, at least.
It depends on the teacher. I mean, and to be honest, it's one of those things where you ask around first, and it's not saying what teacher is good and what teacher is bad. It's everybody learns and works differently. So what your question really to your peers and to people in college that you're going to should not be who's the good teacher and who's not. It should be who teaches like this, or how does this professor teach? Because that's your question. Is you want to find the professor that teaches the way that you're going to learn best, not who's the good professor and who's not, because that honestly is different for every person. You really want to find who teaches the way you need it to be taught to you.
So you'd want to ask your college instructors and professors on their opinions of who to move on to next based on what you're learning?
Yes, but I would also go with just asking how they teach it and how they work. Because if you, like me, I have to actually do something in order to learn it. Like, you can tell me about it for an hour. I'm not going to get it unless I do it for 5 minutes.
Right.
So if we're talking about, like I was talking about, an informative paper where you can't have your opinion in it, I won't be able to do that on my, like, I'll understand the concept. I won't be able to do it on my own if you just tell me that that's how you do it and then tell me to go and write it. But if we sit down and we spend a class period practicing it and sharing our paragraphs with the instructor and having him tell us if we're doing it right, or give us feedback on what errors we've made and that kind of thing, that is how I learn. So I would be asking my English professor this semester, what English professor that's going to teach my next class will do the same hands-on activity for every lesson.
We learn pretty much the same on that one.
Yeah.
No wonder we get along so well.
English should be like...
And I've noticed that. And one thing I found, especially for myself and for people that I see new in college, a lot of times they are struggling because in the high schools, they coddle them. I mean, this weekend I was seeing these adorable little 3-month-old twins from a family friend who's now a grandmother. And they were so cute and adorable. But she's a French teacher in Farmington, New Mexico. And they have a policy on late papers. 2 weeks to get more than partial credit.
2 weeks? Half my professors won't even take a paper if it's an hour late.
She also teaches high school. So they coddle them. And she goes, you turned it in late. I'm not going to grade it on time.
See, I don't even get 2 weeks to write the paper.
No.
For my cinema class, just for that one class alone, I have an average of 4 three or more page papers due every week.
Mm-hmm.
Every week.
Yeah, it's like seeing these lines under my eyes.
Yeah.
And
some of them I'll get assigned on Monday, and they're due Wednesday at midnight.
Or Tuesday at midnight.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
Yeah. But usually Wednesday. So, you have 2 days to write a 3-page paper, plus whatever else you're doing, whatever other classes you're taking, whatever other assignments you have going. Like, they don't care. You're working that into your schedule. And it's not like they don't care about you and they're trying to make it hard on you. It's, here's your deadline. Everybody has stuff going on in their life. You could be a full-time student. You could have a full-time job. I am taking 18 credits. I have a full-time job. I have a part-time job. I do some volunteer work, and I take odd jobs on film sets locally. So I do an insane amount of work. So I have to, incredibly, time management is just one of those things that I have had to learn. And that is definitely something that you need to learn going into college. Is not, you don't even need to know time management based on what you're doing right now. Because if you're just doing high school and, like, like a part-time job, that's not enough. You can't teach yourself how to only time management that. Mm-hmm. You have to teach yourself how to manage your time in a crazy schedule. And then when you have a backed off schedule, it feels like bliss. It's beautiful.
You're like, because I should be doing something. You have that anxiety about nothing.
Yeah, and if you go into it and you only know how to manage a part-time job and 8 hours of school, you are not going to be able to make it. Because honestly, maybe it's just me being a screenwriter and writing for school and for a living, but I spend probably twice as much time doing assignments than I actually spend in class.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're signing up for classes, keep in mind, multiply those hours by 3. That's how much time you are actually spending on college.
and that's how much they expect you to be doing. And
Mhm.
we're not trying to scare you or anything. In fact, we're just giving a reality of what we've experienced. Now, my lovely friend Jess over here is inhuman and insane for doing the amount of credit she's doing, for doing the amount of pace she's doing. I mean, I struggled having a full-time job and school, so I cut the job out. I am doing 14 credits right now, and next semester I have a 6 a.m. class till 6:50, and then I have a class at 12 to 1:50, and then another class at 7 till 10. And there's massive gaps in between, which if you're in high school going from, I don't know, a 0 hour till 10 a.m., and then you're free the rest of your afternoon, but it's all that one little block, you're used to going, right, I got school, then I'm going to study. You're not used to doing school, study, then school, then study, then sleep. If you sleep, coffee helps.
And that really is how it works. On Mondays and Wednesdays, I have a 7:30 a.m. class that goes until 8:45, and then I don't have another class until 10:30 in the morning. So that is my homework and study time block, because starting at 10:30, I have only 15 to 20 minutes between every class until 7 p.m. So, and I live 45 minutes away from my campus. So by the time I get home, it's 8 o'clock, and I am exhausted. I have been on campus for hours, and even then, I always still have something to do that I have to stay up and finish writing or something like that. And another thing is, if you are someone who hates to do things last minute,
Time management.
you're gonna have to get over that. Because no matter how much you hate doing things last minute, and I'm not saying you should do things last minute.
Don't.
No, definitely don't.
Don't end up like us.
Definitely don't. But no matter how much you say you're not going to, if you have so much going on in your life, things will become last minute by default. And what I mean by that is, if you are assigned a 3-page paper on Monday, and you have classes until late Monday night, and then you have Tuesday morning, you work really early. You have about 3 hours Tuesday afternoon, and then you have another class, more work, and it's due Wednesday morning. You have that 3-hour block on Tuesday, which probably is already filled up with either another assignment due for the Tuesday class or something else you have going on in your life, or maybe sleep. Maybe sleep.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, if you're lucky, you throw sleep in there instead.
Now,
but so when you end up writing your paper at 2 a.m. on Wednesday,
it's gonna suck.
Yes, it's gonna be terrible. But you have to get over not doing things last minute, because it's not that you're waiting to the last minute. It's just sometimes that's the only little block of time you have to write this paper.
And if you're living at home with family, they don't get that. Like, both my parents went to school 9 to 5 in the UK, and they always got 8 hours sleep. My mother had a mortgage at 21. She's insane. But anybody that knows my mother knows that she's scary, but she's brilliant, known as a bulldog.
It doesn't matter how many times you tell people that you are busy in college, unless they are actively in college, they probably don't remember the magnitude to which it is, because
they don't want to remember.
And yeah, no, I am completely convinced that the moment you graduate college, there's a mental block on how much you had to do to get there. Never want to think about that again.
No.
But it's not. I don't want to scare you, because it's not a bad experience. It's actually rather enjoyable. It's just a lot of work. You have to want where you are going. And I'm not saying just because you don't know where you're going, don't do it. Definitely do it. But don't shove yourself.
Don't dig yourself a hole.
Yeah.
Like, for me, I'm an education major, which means I'm always going to be in school in some way or another for continued education, because we spend 6 or 7 years in school for a bachelor's, but that's never good enough, because new studies always come out. Whoopee. But what it means is that for me, I'm never going to escape school. I'm always seems to be in school. Literally. It's like a jail. I get to go home for 8 hours for work release, is what it's going to seem like.
Another thing, when you're going into college, that one subject that you're thinking you seriously will never need again, and you genuinely believe that because you don't see how it could possibly be applied to your life, that might be true. It might also not be true. I hate writing. I did when I was younger. I always have, but I chose it as my career, not because I can be okay with writing, but because I love the art of screenplay. I love movies. I love being on set. I can write. I don't enjoy doing it, but I can. And I love the whole aspect in the field of working on it. So I do that. So me being incredibly bad at spelling and grammar, ignoring that in high school has led to a lot of problems in college when I turn in an average of, 15 pages of script every week or so, and that's not even covering the at least 4 drafts of pre-planning pages that you create, because you have to invent a story, invent the world around the story, incorporate a lesson, incorporate a character that needs to learn that lesson, and all of this. There's a lot more that goes into writing a story than you think there is. Respect writers. Respect anybody who writes any story of any kind. It is hard. It is hard.
I mean,
but yeah, and definitely talk to your professors. They've taught this class before. No matter how many times you want to tell yourself it's their fault, they don't know. They've taught this class before.
Now, granted,
you have not taken it before. Who knows what's supposed to be going on in this class?
Well, to be fair, there are some professors that suck. There are some that should not be teaching, and some that should just retire and should disappear off the face of the earth.
Well,
but that's only because that's
okay. I would say that is incredibly rare, because someone that you might deem as being someone who shouldn't be a teacher, someone else might love for the way that they teach. Remember, everybody learns differently.
Mm-hmm.
So okay. maybe they're perfect for someone else. Maybe they just do it the opposite that you do, and they don't know how to teach it the way that you need it taught.
If 3/4 of a class drops the class, there's something wrong with.
Oh yeah, that's a whole nother problem. That was my bio class.
You run.
You just
if you hear that about a teacher, run.
Get out of there.
And we're not trying to scare you about college. What we're trying to say is that college is work. Unlike in high school where they coddle you. Because at our high school, because we both went to the same high school, and just down where we live, and I hated high school with a passion. That's also because I'm gay. We're both gay. We're lovely. We're lovely, glorious little facts. Rainbows, shitty rainbows everywhere. But the thing is, in high school, kids were cruel. And because kids were cruel, we didn't have a good experience. And because of that, we stopped caring about our education. The downside was, when we were in college, first intro, I had to be in a lower English class, 090 to 091, and then I'm in 101, and now I'm in 102. Only because I stopped caring in high school about my education. And that was unfortunate. Only now do I look back. If I could yell at myself, say, get your ass into gear and do what you need to do, because I'm paying for it now financially. College isn't cheap.
You pay financially, you pay with your time. Yeah, it's more
you
than
your sleep,
it's more than a little bit of money or work it up. It's you spent a lot of time on that class. Even if you drop the class right away, I guarantee you spent at least 18 hours on that class anyways. Yeah. Plus however many $100 you spent on that class.
And that's only community college.
That's only community, yes.
And that's one thing I'd also advise, that if you're in high school, don't not go straight to university. Even if you got a scholarship for that, I wouldn't recommend it, because unless you're an fully AP dual enrolled student at a college as well, and doing speech and debate, and doing like all those other stuff as well, I wouldn't recommend it. Not that you're not capable, or anybody's not capable. It's just, it's less stress in the community college. Instructors and professors are more apt to helping you. Smaller class sizes, they're more willing to help you.
See, I would say unless you have a scholarship to a university, go to a community college for your basic core classes first.
Yeah.
See, that's just it's easier that way. I'm not saying universities are horrible. Bad. I'm gonna go to NAU in like a year.
Only a year?
So
I got 4 more years.
I
You're
pre-planned
gonna-
stuff. I'm gonna end in 2 years, and after only 4 years of college, I will have 2 associates and a bachelor's and a half.
But you're the crackhead doing 18 credit hours every
Yeah,
semester.
but I planned it. That's another thing, is if you go into college and you're planning on getting more than one degree, see what degrees line up and maybe take the classes required for the second degree that you want
That
as
overlap.
electives. Take those as electives, because once you get that degree, they can't say those electives don't count as electives anymore because you take them because you already took them for your second degree because you already have that certificate.
Because they count for both.
That's what I did. I went in for TV writing, but I've taken all of the feature writing for movies. I've taken all of those classes and all the classes that would be different between the 2 degrees as electives for my TV class. So I'm going to end up with 2 bachelors with only taking 1 extra semester.
Can I just move in with you as you're making bank as a writer? Wait, writers don't make anything, do they?
No.
Neither do
Are you
teachers.
kidding me? This is not. No. Neither of us joined our career for money.
We
Clearly.
do it because...
Clearly we don't care where we live or what we do with our lives.
We'll be living in the ghetto somewhere where
As
people
long
are
as
getting
we're doing
shot every
something
night.
fun.
It'll be great. My neighbor will be a drug dealer. It'll be fantastic.
Okay. We need to get back on
topic.
Okay, so another piece of advice that I would give is all of those high school essays that you're used to writing, and we're going to be honest here, very few people don't write with fluff sentences in their essays. Let me just tell you something here.
Define fluff.
Fluff? When you have something that you could say in 1 sentence in your essay, but you're going to take 4 to say it.
Oh, like
because you need to make the length requirement, or because you know that you have like only 2 points to make in this paragraph and you need to BS this longer.
But we're both guilty of that. In college.
No, not in college.
Yes, you are.
No. If you do that in college, 1, you're gonna get a bad grade. And 2, if the teacher really wants to make a point, they're gonna ask you to explain this entire exactly what point are you getting at? And they're gonna do that to you until you break down those 4 sentences into 1 and admit that that's 1 sentence, which sucks. Fluff will get you nowhere. And another thing is when you go into college and you're writing an argumentative or an informative essay, don't think it has to be PG. I mean, if you have the topic and the professor has approved the topic and you are starting to write it, you need to write it from every angle. You can't just write it from the PG angle. If it's a topic that you could go more in depth with and your paper would be much more developed if you looked at it at a more
adult,
more adult, mature way, that might be better. And I'm not saying go like completely rated R. I'm saying like
all teenagers.
Like if you're writing the history of anything about mythology. Anything about mythology. In high school, usually like you mention
our mythology
the
class.
things that happen in mythology that are adult.
Like the incest.
Yeah.
A lot of incest.
In college, you wouldn't just reference those. You would spend a page or 2 talking about just that incest incident or something like that. And you have to know yourself and be comfortable with talking about that because it will come up. And it's going to be odd and you're going to get a worse grade if you're the only person who doesn't talk about it in that light, or if it's only your topic and you don't get to that point. Because then you've only covered this much information in this much because this is all you were comfortable talking about. You have to be comfortable talking about the entire spectrum. But of course, talk with your professor and make sure that you're not going past a rating that they're comfortable with. Every class functions differently. There are some classes where they're really strict and they'll go through Canvas, which is where most of our classes, our assignments are and stuff like that. Everybody has a love-hate relationship with Canvas. You love it and you hate it because sometimes it crashes and it deletes crap and I have two of my classes for screenwriting that are run on Facebook. The teacher, we literally have a Facebook page as a closed group. Closed Facebook groups for those classes. And you just get on Facebook and you scroll through and it has our assignment, where you turn it in, how to do it, the notes from the day, the schedule, everything. We don't use Canvas, we use Facebook.
And on that one as well, like, I know in English, in my communications class, I almost did a topic on, like, to sell a product. I'm tempted to do a speech on why condoms are the best things to use, are the best invention for couples. Now, it's funny, and it gets your attention. See, that's exactly why. Because it gets your attention. But in high school, you could never do that.
No,
Because
you would cross a line within, like, a paragraph.
Because parents would be offended.
You'd only get through, like, a paragraph before you'd have to say something that would be borderline.
Like, there was an incident in my mythology class. We're not going to get into that, but still.
And you have to be comfortable with profanity and everything. My screenwriting classes, okay, people swear. Students swear. Your professors are going to swear.
All the time.
Everybody around you is going to be swearing. Okay?
The first day of
and referencing things.
The first day of communications, my communication said, you know the 7 words you can't say on TV? Well, here they are. And listed them out, and why they're not allowed to be said on TV.
One of my professors, says the F word at least 4 times every class I have with him. And I mean, it's not even like a big deal. It's not even to emphasize anything. It's literally casual conversation. Just throws in the F word. You have to be okay with that. But we have to sign a waiver in that class because it's a film class and we're watching rated R clips and stuff. But you know, he jokes that it's you really sign the waiver so he can swear. But
pretty much.
But yeah, you have to be comfortable with all that, and you have to be comfortable with reading that in people's papers, because even though that's not something common to have in a paper, there's going to be some topic that's going to come up where you're going to have to say something, some profanity, or reference something, and it's going to come up. Don't be afraid to be the person that puts that in their paper, as long as you're not stepping outside of what that class's comfort zone is.
Would you also say to recommend the first week of every semester seems to be that testing zone for instructors? Like, you're literally going, poke.
They're testing you out, you're testing them out. It's fine.
Hence why the drop date's at that Friday, which is why they may seem nice that first week.
And that's not even really, like I said, that's finding who works best with you. That's not finding who's a good professor and who's not. Because honestly, people could tell you that this is the worst professor to take for the subject. You could take their class and it could be so much easier for you than if you'd taken it from someone else.
I mean, my communication teacher's a hippie, pretty much. He is semi-organized. I mean, there's some days like, what are we doing today again? Oh yeah, this. We have to remind him as the class of what we need to do, so that way we know what we have to do in class for our homework. And that we debated a quiz, which we all failed because he didn't teach us half the information. So we had to argue back our grade with him over every question of why we were right. So everyone got 104%.
My TV screenwriting professor, about a fifth of the time he walks in, sits down on the table and says, "So guys, TV." And we just start a class schedule, and that's today's class. And that's not even on the schedule. That's just when he feels like that's what we need. So that's another thing when you're in college is what's on the schedule. Very, very rarely do you have a class where they actually stick to the schedule. And it's never moving a due date up to make it harder on you. It's never anything like that. It's always them
getting distracted.
No. It's always them watching the class and realizing what you need and either giving you more time on something or taking the time to do an hour on a subject that's not even in the curriculum because everybody's struggling on that. It's always helpful. So be relaxed when it comes to the schedule because that's not really the schedule.
I mean, they want to see you succeed. They're there because they want to teach. They're there because they love doing that. They don't get paid much more than high school teachers. In fact, for both of us, I'm a special education major. My brother, who's an engineering major, will earn 4 to 6 times what I could ever dream to have in my life. And my friend Jess here will probably get paid less than me.
Actually, I'm going into film. I could end up really anywhere in the industry. I'm starting with screenwriting, but it's It's one of those things where
Kind of.
I took a career where I could end up anywhere on the board. Who knows?
Well, great for you. I know
It's
what my
good.
paycheck's going to be till the day I die. That's the scariest thing. I know what I'm going to earn. I know what my pension's going to be. I know what kind of house I can buy, what kind of market I can live in, what states I can live in.
Calm
And I
down.
can plan. I'm sorry.
Calm down.
I'm getting ranty, aren't I?
But definitely, and that's another. When you go into college, you don't necessarily need to know your major, but know what. If you have an idea of what you want to do, list it out and decide exactly what about that you like and what you don't. Sort of sell yourself on that major, because if you aren't really sold on that major, you're going to end up switching majors.
Like me.
This is
my third major now. Originally it was nursing. I struggled too much in the sciences and I couldn't pass Bio 181. No matter how much I tried, it was too condensed. And I struggled too much and it was too much information for me.
It wasn't something he loved enough to make himself do it.
I also hated the teacher with a passion.
Yeah, but that's
that was a personal issue.
But me and I stayed in the field, but I went in thinking I'm gonna do directing. I want to do directing. I still think it's interesting, and I'm going to take a couple of the classes as electives, but I took one screenwriting class as my elective for directing, and I fell in love with screenwriting, even though I hate writing. So that's another thing, is don't be afraid to take an elective that sounds interesting if it's on a subject that you hate, because it might be your new dream job.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine doing anything other than screenwriting now. And honestly, that was an elective I took by chance, because I took a chance on it and it sounded interesting when I wanted to do something completely different.
Because when I was in high school, I helped out a few special needs kids a few times, and I loved it. I truly did love it, because I found, as much as this may sound creepy, I like the innocence about it. I like that they want to learn. They want to be there. More so than the average Joe student who's like, school again?
So basically, sell yourself on your major. Remember what you need to do to keep yourself set. Figure out how you need to learn, what kind of professors you need. Find those professors. They'll work with you. No professor there wants you to fail. Wow. Nobody wants you to fail. Whether it be because they like you as a student so much that they want you to succeed, or you're so annoying they just want you the hell out of their classes.
I've had both. That's us in classes together. Either
way, nobody there is really against you, even if it might sound so. If someone is really hard on you, that's in high school. If a professor is really hard on you, that's because they're trying to prepare you for college, where, trust me, it's still gonna be a shock to you. I mean, I got to college, and my very first day, I had a 4-page paper due the next day to write for that class.
What class was that?
It was a introduce yourself, but it was like this weird in-depth, like, with a whole bunch of, basically explain your entire life in metaphor, was what it was like. So, and it was like,
how many people talked?
Like 4 pages. Nobody. But it was one of those things where I'd only ever written like a 2-page paper max, 5 paragraphs in high school, and now I had to write this 4-page paper, and in a form that I wasn't used to. But that's another thing. 5 paragraphs, not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. You're gonna have to stop breaking it into 3 points that you think work, and break it into 3 or 4 points that you think work, and then sub-points of those points. And write 3 paragraphs on what you would typically write 1 paragraph on.
Like, what would you say about panic attacks? Like, people that have high, like me, I was so shaking and jittery and panicky that I actually put it on Facebook. Why am I in college again? Oh yeah, to stay in debt, to die in debt, because I'm going into teaching, so I'm not going to learn anything. I've been
sent into the ER for stress-related seizures that have been caused, and wheeled out of rooms and wheelchairs and stuff like that. And honestly,
we're still here.
Just breathe.
Because we're still here.
It's really not as bad as you think it is. If you make a mistake in college, all you have to do is talk to your professor, and most of them are understanding. I mean, the only time they're going to ridicule you for not doing something because you're stressed or anything like that is if you wait days after you were supposed to do it or it was done and then contact them. No. I called out of a class last week because I was having a panic attack, and literally I I can't remember if I texted him or if I messaged him on Facebook. Because it was one of my classes that's run through Facebook. And I was like, I can't make it today. I'm having a panic attack. And he was like, that's fine. I don't care.
That's lucky.
Yeah, didn't even mark it as an absence. They understand. And if you think you're going to be having stuff come up in the field, that's fine too. In the film, in my classes for film, if you have a opportunity out in the field on a local set come up, you can miss a lot of classes. If you talk to that professor and you say, I have this great opportunity, but I would need to be there for the next like 5 times I have your class, they will work with you. If it is in your industry and it is something that could really help you, always take the opportunity, even when it says it's during one of your classes. Talk to that professor. If it is something that they think is going to move you up in your career, why would they say no when they're trying to prepare you for that career? It's not going to happen. They're going to try their very best to make it so that you can do whatever you can out in the field at the same time as you're taking their classes.
Like, I would agree on that as well, especially for me going to special education and working with kids. There's parts of my major next semester that I have to go into schools and work with kids. I have to observe classrooms for so many, an unknown amount of hours. Probably
who knows when you're going to have a schedule that could go overlap class.
Yeah,
you would have to talk.
I've left gaps in my schedule anticipating that because
yeah, but it's still going to go over a couple classes, and you're going to have to talk to them, and they're going to have to be okay with it.
I'm going to have to tell my other instructors, I'm sorry, but can I just moved online?
That's how it works.
I don't want to because I struggle.
Or even just talk to that professor outside of classes.
And my geography teacher, I talked to her this morning, and she was very reasonable. She said, yeah, you didn't do well in the last test, but she said that's kind of normal for a lot of students, so you're smart enough to do it. She said it to my face.
Oh, yeah, they're really lenient about stuff, too. If you need more time on something, and you really, like, if it's something, like, in the creative process, like, screenwriting, I'm in a TV writing group, so it's 3 of us outlining a season for a TV show. We're outlining Daredevil, the Netflix show. Yeah, it's actually really fun. I'm writing the first episode of season 2. But anyways, our beat sheet, which means a outline of all of the scenes of our individual episodes, was due today. But when our professor had a meeting with us and he looked at it, he told us what we did wrong in our outline because we were having so much trouble with our beat sheet. So he gave us an extra 2 weeks to do our beat sheet, and he's going to check in with us on Wednesday to make sure we're doing good.
And my English teacher, we had an assignment on discourse communities, which for any of you in academia, you probably know what this term means, but it means a community you belong to. Like, we are students, we belong to that community kind of thing. And the first paper I wrote for an outline, I had to BS it because, unfortunately, I had a leadership retreat to go to, and I told him I was going. I said, yeah, I'm going to a leadership retreat, so if I turn it in, here you go!
Bosh!
But, to be fair, he knew it. And I told him, I'm probably going to BS this, but you want something turned in? And he said yes. And he was okay with it, so I talked to him. But don't do that normally.
But again, Bosh. That's one of my professors,
Which stands
for screenwriting. When you fluff up essays or you BS it, Bosh is what bunch of shit happening.
Mm-hmm. It was not really.
Yeah. But bunch of shit happening.
But that's what that paper is. Instructors will help you if you ask. But if you don't ask, they are perfectly content.
If you don't ask, they're not going to know what you're having a problem. They're going to think you're either too lazy to do it, or you just passed it up for something else. If you just talk to them, basically, we're gonna wrap this up, okay? Basically, for going into college, know yourself, know what you need for teaching. Don't listen to people when they tell you this professor's good, this professor's bad. Figure it out for yourself. Who works best with you? Who works best with you? Don't bosh stuff. You will fail. Time management is key.
Ask for help.
Definitely ask for help. Ask for clarification.
All the time.
Always ask for clarification. If you are even slightly hesitant on one point about anything, always ask a question, because it's not like in high school where people are going to look at you funny if you ask 20 questions in class. In fact, you're going to literally see relief on people's faces when that question is answered and they thought they weren't going to be able to ask that question in the time in the time limit that you have. Like, you're literally going to get thank yous after class. Thanks for asking that question. I thought I wasn't going to get to that question.
And it helps. I mean, the more you ask, and also get involved in college. I am on student senate for an LGBT group on campus. I'm very busy, but because I'm also involved, I like college. If it was just school, I'd be like this. I hate my life. I hate my life. I hate
Make
this.
friends in your field. Even if you don't think you can
Yes.
make friends. I'm terrible at making friends.
We
But
know.
I've sat next to the same guy for a year and a half now, and he knows about me, I know about him.
Is that the cute one?
I don't know what the hell you're talking about. So we're close enough to being friends. It's all good.
We're best friends.
It's all
We've
good.
been friends since freshman year of high school.
Yeah, we've been friends. No, we've been friends since...
Only since freshman year.
Yeah, 7th grade.
No, freshman.
No.
I never went to there in 8th grade. But in conclusion,
I don't even know anymore.
This is horrible. We can talk all day.
Yeah. So we're gonna wrap this up. But yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Cheers.